You will hear about the African Union. Yes, it exists. But what is the effect of the African Union in reality? We cannot talk about integration in the theme and not talk about the African Union. Because it is this organization that should unite us, create real integration. But we regret to see these wars that persist on the African continent, killing millions of young people. And that this organization, which has heads of state, with armies, is unable to organize itself to support certain countries. The Union is not just a word. The Union is a symbol. And we, the youth, should learn a lesson from this situation to unite, to make integration a reality. I was unpleasantly surprised when Ethiopia, which hosts the headquarters of the African Union, was experiencing a conflict. And when I saw the Prime Minister put on a military uniform and announce the closure of the university in Addis Ababa to face the threat. I did not see any action from the African Union to protect these headquarters. Most Western states saw Addis Ababa falling, packing up and leaving. Ethiopia fought, found an internal solution, and is living more or less in peace today. The children of Congo have been dying for years. Several other conflicts, such as in Sudan, exist on the continent. We would have liked to see the African Union generate the forces and all the necessary strategies to support these states so they can regain peace. For nearly 10 years, the Sahel has been the theater of international terrorism. But we see no support from these organizations to find a solution to this problem. Worse, a few days ago, a country foreign to Africa openly announced having supported and participated in a cowardly terrorist and barbaric attack against the forces of our confederation in Tinsawatten. The African Union did not utter a word to condemn this interference by a state outside of Africa in the internal affairs of our states. I would like them to hear this and therefore break their silence and take action so that the youth can believe in the African Union.
At just 34 years old, Ibrahim Traore shocked the world when he rose to power in Burkina Faso. Some call him Africa's youngest president ever, while others compare him to legendary figures like Thomas Sankara. But who is Ibrahim Traore? How did a young army captain become the face of a new Pan-African movement? And why is his story sparking debates across the globe? In this video, we explore the rise, vision, and future of Africa's youngest leader. Unlike many politicians who come from wealthy or elite families, Traore's story is one of hard work and determination. He was not born into power. He earned it on the battlefield. Ibrahim Traore's journey began in the early 2010s when he joined Burkina Faso's army. Like many young soldiers of his generation, he was thrown into the chaos of the Sahel, a region plagued by extremist violence, political instability, and foreign interference. On the front lines, Traore quickly made a name for himself. Fellow soldiers describe him as fearless, disciplined, and deeply committed to protecting his people. While others hesitated, Traore led from the front, fighting shoulder to shoulder with his men in some of the toughest battles against insurgents. This reputation as a battle-hardened commander earned him respect within the army ranks, but it also shaped his vision of leadership, one rooted not in speeches from the capital, but in real struggles on the ground. Then came September 2022, a dramatic turning point. Traore and his allies accused interim leader Paul-Henri Damiba of failing to stop terrorist attacks that were devastating communities. In a swift and decisive move, Traore overthrew him and declared himself head of state at only 34 years old. Crowds in Ouagadougou poured into the streets, waving flags and chanting his name. For many, he became a symbol of hope. For others, a risky gamble in uncertain times. After taking power, Ibrahim Traore made it clear that his leadership would not follow the old playbook. Unlike many African heads of state who leaned heavily on Western alliances, Traore began speaking openly about sovereignty, unity, and independence. From foreign control, his fiery speeches drew comparisons to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader of the 1980s. Traore argued that Africa could not remain dependent on aid and foreign military bases. Instead, he pushed for Pan-African solidarity, calling on neighboring countries to unite against terrorism, exploitation, and neo-colonial influence. In his view, only Africans could solve Africa's problems. These bold statements won him admiration among young people across the continent, who saw in him a new generation of leadership that refused to bow down to global powers. But his defiance also raised questions. Could a 34-year-old captain truly stand up to centuries of entrenched political and economic control? Was this the birth of a new Sankara, or just another chapter of risky military rule? Ibrahim Traore's rise did not just shake Burkina Faso, it sent shockwaves across Africa and beyond. His strong rejection of French military presence marked a dramatic shift. In Burkina Faso's foreign policy, for decades, France had been deeply involved in the Sahel, operating military bases and counter-terror missions. But Traore accused them of failing to protect his people, and within months, French troops were ordered to leave. This bold decision was celebrated by many as a step toward true independence. Crowds filled the streets of Ouagadougou, waving Russian flags and chanting slogans against foreign interference. At the same time, Traore began strengthening ties with Russia, a move that alarmed Western nations. Critics in Europe and the United States warned that Burkina Faso was trading one dependency for another, but to his supporters, aligning with Russia was not about loyalty to Moscow. It was about breaking the monopoly of Western powers in Africa. International media quickly painted Traore as either a liberator or a dangerous populist. Some hailed him as the face of a new anti-colonial Africa, while others feared he was isolating his country from crucial allies. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. Traore had made it clear Burkina Faso would not be dictated to, no matter the cost. But while Ibrahim Traore has gained massive popularity abroad and among many young Africans, the reality at home is far more complicated. Burkina Faso is still facing relentless attacks from extremist groups. Entire villages have been displaced, and millions live under constant fear. Critics argue that despite his fiery speeches and bold moves, Traore has not yet delivered real security on the ground. Some accuse him of using revolutionary rhetoric to distract from the harsh realities. Others point out that his government has limited resources and is struggling to manage a humanitarian crisis that keeps getting worse. Even his promises of economic revival face steep obstacles, with unemployment and poverty still widespread. Yet, for many Burkinabe citizens, Traore remains a symbol of hope. They see in him a young leader who dares to speak truth to power, even if the results are not immediate. His story is not just about one man, it is about a nation fighting to redefine itself in the face of overwhelming challenges. So, what lies ahead for Ibrahim Traore? At just 34, his political journey is only beginning. Supporters believe he has the potential to inspire a new generation of African leaders, bold, young, and unafraid to challenge the old systems of power. They see him as the face of a Pan-African revival, echoing the spirit of leaders like Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and Kwame Nkrumah. But the road ahead is uncertain. His greatest test will not be his fiery speeches, but whether he can turn words into lasting change. Can he bring peace to Burkina Faso's war-torn villages? Can he create jobs and opportunities for its restless youth? Or will his story become yet another chapter in Africa's long struggle with instability? For now, Ibrahim Traore remains a symbol of courage, of defiance, and of possibility. The world is watching, and history will decide whether he will be remembered as a true revolutionary leader or just a fleeting moment of hope in troubled times.